All right, so let's see if the audio is okay. Okay, perfect. The audio is fine. How's it going, everyone? I hope you all are doing great, and I hope you all had a relaxing weekend, and I hope that you are ready for this brand new week. I'm Dork Radu, and I am back with another daily analysis. As always, we're going to start off with the Forex analysis, and to be more exact, I'm gonna start off with Euro USD, where we have a bearish opportunity. Okay, right here, we can see that we have an aggressive break of structure towards the downside. Imbalance was left behind. I was able to identify this unmitigated fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest as well as with this bearish trader order block. The 4-hour is bearish on the trader graph, and it is very safe to say that the pullback has been a very nice and corrective one. So pretty much all the confluences are in place. We now need to wait for the setup to trigger to see, of course, if it will trigger. On AUD CAD, we have an aggressive break towards the downside, a unmitigated order block lining up with the area of interest. Daily and the 4-hour are both bearish on the trader graph, and once again, pullback has been very nice and corrective as well. On AUD USD, we have another bearish opportunity, very similar to AUD CAD. Textbook break towards the downside, aggressive one because the imbalance was left behind. We have this unmitigated order block, but we also have this fair value gap that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The daily and the 4-hour are once again both bearish on the trader graph. And lastly, the pullback has been very nice and corrective as well. Hence why this is a valid setup. On Euro NZD, we have a potential bullish opportunity. Okay, we have this aggressive break towards the upside, unmitigated order block lining up with the discounted area of this bullish range. The trader graph is fully bullish, and now all we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. That's always our final confirmation that we need to wait for. Next up, we have USD CHF. Over here, things look bearish. Aggressive break towards the downside. Liquidity was swept beforehand as well right here, which is a great added confluence. We have this fair value gap lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. The daily and the 4-hour are both bearish on the trader graph. Above the fair value gap, we have a bearish trader order block as well. And so far, the pullback seems to be pretty corrective. So we definitely want to see a continuation of that. This setup is looking very, very promising. On Euro GBP, we have a bullish opportunity. Right here, price broke structure to the upside very impulsively, leaving imbalance behind. Liquidity was swept beforehand as well right here, which is great. We have this fair value gap lining up with the discounted area as well as with this bullish trader order block. The 4-hour is bullish on the trader graph, and so far the pullback looks pretty corrective. So of course, we want to see a continuation of that because the pullback barely started. On GBP JPY, we have a bearish potential setup. Aggressive break continuing this downwards push, leaving imbalance behind as well. We have this unmitigated order block lining up with the point of interest. The trader graph is fully bearish, and so far the pullback has been very nice and corrective. So we definitely want to see a continuation of that. Moving forward, we have CAD JPY with another bearish potential setup. The yen pairs, once again, have been very strong for the past couple weeks. Right here, we have a continuation of this downwards push with this bearish break of structure that took price lower and left imbalance behind. We have this fair value gap lining up with the point of interest as well as with this bearish trader order block. The trader graph is fully bearish, which is great. And so far, the pullback looks very nice and corrective as well. So once again, we want to see a continuation of that. Euro JPY with a very similar setup, a continuation of this downtrend with this bearish break of structure. We then have this fair value gap lining up with the point of interest. The trader graph is fully bearish, and the pullback so far looks very nice and corrective as well. So of course, we want to see a continuation of that because this is always our final confirmation, waiting for that corrective pullback. On OJPY, things look bearish over here as well. Very aggressive break towards the downside, unmitigated order block lining up with the point of interest. The trader graph is fully bearish, and once again, the pullback so far looks very nice and corrective. So we want to see a continuation of that towards our fire zone in order for us to take this setup. Euro CHF with a potential bearish setup. Very aggressive break towards the downside. Liquidity was swept beforehand as well right here, which is a great added confluence. We have this unmitigated order block lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. And of course, we could also take this fair value gap. Okay, this fair value gap is literally lining up with the point of interest. Daily and 4 hour both bearish on the graph. And so far, pullback looks pretty corrective as well. So we definitely want to see a continuation of that towards our fire zone. NZD CAD looks bearish. Over here we have a very aggressive downtrend, and right here we have a continuation of that. Okay, we broke structure to the downside, continuing lower, and also leaving imbalance behind because we have this unmitigated order block lining up perfectly with the point of interest. The 4 hour is bearish on the trader graph, and so far the pullback looks corrective as well. So yeah, definitely looking promising. And lastly, we have NZD/USD for our Forex analysis. Once again, a massive, a major or massive, however we want to call it, downtrend. And right here we have a continuation of that. Okay, price broke structure and took it lower. Okay, imbalance was left behind. If we zoom in, we can see that we have this tiny fair value gap lining up with the premium area of this bearish range. The 4 hour is bearish on the trader graph as well. And now we want to wait for a continuation of this corrective pullback. All right. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's Forex analysis right here. As always, make sure to reach out on Discord if there's any other questions. Now I will go over today's metals analysis, starting off with gold, where we have a bearish opportunity. Right here, we have this textbook break towards the downside that left imbalance behind as well. We have this unmitigated order block lining up perfectly with the area of interest as well as with this bearish trader order block. Liquidity was swept beforehand as well right here, which is great. The 4 hour is bearish on the trader graph. And lastly, the pullback has been pretty corrective as well. So literally all the confluences are in place. Now, all we need to wait for is to see whether this setup will get triggered or not. On silver, we have another bearish opportunity looking pretty similar to the gold one. We have an aggressive break, a liquidity sweep before the break as well. This fair value gap lining up with the point of interest as well as with these two bearish trader order blocks. The daily and the 4 hour both bearish on the trader graph, and the pullback so far looks nice and corrective. So we definitely want to see a continuation of it towards our fire zone. And yeah, that's about it when it comes to the metals analysis. As always, you should reach out on Discord if there's any further questions. And now I will go over today's indices analysis, starting off with US 30, where we have a bullish opportunity. We have this very aggressive break towards the upside that left imbalance behind. We have the trader graph fully bullish, which is a great added confluence. We have this unmitigated order block lining up perfectly with the point of interest as well as with this bullish trader order block. And now the final thing that we need to wait for is a corrective pullback. Next up on SPX, I wasn't able to identify a new setup or a potential setup, hence why we're just gonna leave the chart as is, not waste any time on it, and wait for some fresh structure. On NAS 100, however, we do have a bearish opportunity. Okay, right here we have an aggressive break towards the downside. We have this liquidity sweep before the break as well. After that, I was able to identify this fair value gap that is lining up perfectly with the point of interest as well as with this bearish trader order block. The 4 hour is bearish on the trader graph, and so far the pullback looks pretty nice and corrective as well. So we definitely want to see a continuation of that. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's indices analysis right here. As always, make sure to reach out on Discord if there's any further questions. And lastly, I will go over today's crypto analysis as always, starting off with Bitcoin, where things definitely look bullish. We're almost at 70K. However, I wasn't able to identify a bullish setup, a bullish range. Hence why we're just gonna leave the chart as is and wait for some fresh structure. Okay, there's no point to force any setups. Right here on Ethereum, we have a bullish opportunity. Okay, we have this textbook break towards the upside. Imbalance was left behind. We have this fair value gap lining up perfectly with the point of interest. And now the last step would be for us to wait for our final confirmation, which is a corrective pullback. On Dogecoin, we have another bullish opportunity. Okay, right here we have a impulsive break towards the upside. Liquidity was swept beforehand as well right here, which is a great added confluence. After the break, I was able to identify this unmitigated order block that, as we can see, is lining up perfectly with the area of interest. The 4-hour is bullish on the trader graph as well. And now we need to wait for a continuation of this corrective pullback. All right. So it is definitely looking very promising. And lastly, sorry. We have XRP, where things look extremely choppy. Okay. So right from the get-go, we can all agree that there's nothing we can currently mark up on this crypto coin. Hence why we'll just leave it as is. And lastly, on Solana, right here, things definitely look bullish. However, I wasn't really able to identify a bullish range. Yes, we could say that this right here is a bullish range, but for me, it is too big. Okay, and it might take price too long for it to retrace towards it. Hence why I just preferred to wait for some fresh structure and from there recalibrate and identify a new potential setup. And yeah, on that note, we'll end today's crypto analysis as well as the overall daily analysis right here. And as always, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you all on the dark side. Take care.